Hi guys, it's Didi here, and today I want to talk to you about failure. This question came to me by Vera, and Vera asked me whether I've experienced failure in my life, and if I had, how did I deal with it? And let me tell you, there is no even one single human being out there in the world that have not experienced failure in one way or another. We all make mistakes, we all do something which doesn't make sense at certain points in our lives, and we all tend to do the wrong thing every now and then. For me, the most important thing though is when we deal with failure is to first of all identify what is a failure. We tend to give too much power to things that don't matter. If we take into consideration the big picture, we tend to feel that it's a failure if we don't get the exam, or if we don't get this job, or if we fail at our first business, or if we don't have the best relationships out there. And then the mistake that we often do is that we identify ourselves with this failure. So we don't say, okay, I made a mistake. We just say, oh, I'm a failure. We don't say, oh, I acted in a stupid way, or I was not prepared, or I was lazy, or I didn't do the right thing. We just tend to say, oh, I'm a failure. So we need to be very careful not to identify ourselves with the act, but to make sure that we remove our identity out of it. According to some people, having more of those failures, it's actually good for us because we can learn, we can get better at what we are doing, we can be exposed to a variety of different things. Many others though would recognize that quite often we don't really learn from failure. I must say for myself that if I learned from all my failures, I would not have repeated the same mistake twice, and many times in my life I repeated the same mistake twice and even 3 times. One thing that would help a lot is to reframe the experience. So for example, if you want to start a new business, or if you want to start to study about something new, then you don't want to do it because you're afraid you may fail. Usually failure leads to fear of rejection, fear of ridicule, fear that people would laugh at us or think that we are silly, and we freeze and we don't do anything about it. So one thing is reframe it. If you want to start something new, you just say, this is an experiment, I'm going to try. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's how you look at the event. Another thing is we can learn lots from sports. We somehow know that no one can be good if they don't practice hundreds and thousands of times. We accept that in sports, but we don't accept it in real life. We expect that if we go for the first job interview, we have to get the job. We expect that when we go to the exam, we should get the exam. We expect that without putting the effort of learning how to be a better husband, better wife, better teacher, we'll somehow get the knowledge from out there. And if we fail, if we try it once or twice and we fail, we say, oh my God, I'm the failure. But we recognize that in sports, that's not how it works. In sports, you need to be prepared, you need to put the effort. So reframe it, look at it as an experiment, look at it as a practice, a sport, as a practice, like learning to new instrument. Remember when you were a child, how many times you tried to walk before you were able to walk, and that would help you with failure. And the last thing I would say is, in any case, regardless what failure you experienced in life is, what's your attitude about it? And I think it's easy to say that, and everyone say, okay, thank you so much for the advice, it's easy, change your attitude. This is the hardest part. How you look at the failure or the event, and how you react to it, how you respond to the situation, it's what will ultimately make you stronger or not. So it really matters what is your willingness to get up, say, okay, I failed, I'm going to do it again, and keep persisting in whatever you want to do. For me personally, I failed many times in my life. I mean, I failed in choosing the wrong job, or not getting an interview, or in many different endeavors, in my business, hiring the wrong people. In many ways, I've done lots of things that I wish were a bit different at the time. But what helps me every time to get back is I am a very determined person. So for me, it's really important to keep persisting on what my goals are or where I ultimately want to be. And another thing that really helped me is often when I'm afraid of something, or when I experience something which I don't want to experience, for example, panic attacks when I'm on airplanes. Okay, I'm not gonna allow something like that, external circumstances or something which I potentially can fight with, to change the quality of my life. I love traveling. If I'm going to experience panic attacks on the planes, this is going to impact my life at a bigger level. So I just need to go through it. And there are lots of things you can do. You know, in my case, I read lots of spiritual literature, or I read lots of motivational literature. So identify what failure is. Don't make it bigger than it is. Always have the big picture in mind. Most events, we tend to think that they are forever going to impact us. That's not the case. Second of all, just look at it as an experiment, reframe it in many different ways. And third thing is change your attitude about it. If you have some tips or advice or comments that you want to share, I would love to read them. I would love to see how you deal with failure in your life. Do you think that failure helped you to be the person you are today, or do you think that it stops you from being the person who you thought you could be? So thank you so much. Share that in the comment box below. Give me a thumb up, like my video, share with your friends if you think it's going to be helpful. And I'm so looking forward to see you next Tuesday. Bye.